Hello. In this tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to attach a web form to your main menu on your website. We will attach our web form node under the Site Pages main menu dropdown. Attaching a web form to a web form node involves two steps. The first step is to build your web form. The second step is to attach your web form to a node and fill out all the needed fields. In this tutorial, we've already created a web form ahead of time, and we've named it February Webform Beginners Training. You may be wondering why we should attach our web form to a web form node when the web form already has a URL by default. There are two reasons. The first reason, it allows you to create a clean URL which helps with the search engine optimization. Secondly, it allows you to create a custom path for your web form to reside instead of providing the default URL to your users. Now that I've explained the how and why we should attach a web form to a web form node, let's get started attaching the web form to the node. From your administration bar, hover over Content, Add Content, then click Web Forms. Add the required title. In this case, we're going to name our web form node February Webform Web Beginners Training. And the best practice for our community is to name the web form entity and the web form node title similar or the same so it can be quickly and easily identified by anyone on your team. Now that we've added the title, we'll move down to the summary field. The summary field is often used to provide a brief overview for your content that can be displayed in its entirety on your site search results page. This information is not trimmed, so keep it brief. For this tutorial, we will not add any content for the summary field. Next, we move to the body field. The body field is where you can add any descriptive text that is needed to help your users fill out the web form properly, give some insight of what the web form is about. So when they fill it out, they'll be able to include all the needed information. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and add some placeholder content just so we can show it at the end of how this information is actually going to appear above your web form node. Okay, now that we've added the body content that we wanted to add, we're going to go down a little further until we get to another important field, which is the web form field. This is where we will actually attach our web form entity to the web form node. And so we just click the select drop down button and we're going to select the February Web Form Beginners Training. And so I've named the web form entity and the title the same, which makes it very easy to identify to anyone that you assign this task to. Next, I'm going to talk about the web form settings, and we're going to talk about what that includes. So there are three statuses. So there's open, closed, and scheduled. By default, it's always going to be open for you. The closed is it would no longer accept web form submissions, and scheduled is a status that allows you to set open, custom open and closed start and end dates. So say, for instance, you want your web form to collect submissions for an entire week. You can go ahead and set an open and close date for a 7-day span. So once that 7-day span expires, then your web form will stop accepting submissions, but it will not unpublish your web form node. That's going to be a separate step that you'll have to do on your own. For this tutorial, we're going to go ahead and leave it at the default open status. We're going to go ahead and skip the default submission data. We get to the date field. Now the date field is used by administrators, so there's no need for you to add any content in there or start or end dates. Next, we move to the terms field. This field we use to add any taxonomy terms that you like to include. And we use these terms field in the event we want to create a view where we want to bundle related web forms together. That way we can display them all in one dynamic page. So in this case, we'll add a term here and we'll call it training. Now this field is totally optional. It really doesn't need to be added if you don't need it. Okay, now we've added the terms that we wanted. So we're going to move down a little further. Now we see the published checkbox. So while we're here, we're going to go ahead and click that published checkbox. And what that does is once we click the blue save button below, it will now make your web forms live. Okay, we're just about done, but we're going to scroll back up and we're going to set our custom URL path and also update our menu link as well. So in this section, we're going to click the menu settings toggle. And now it exposes a provide a menu link checkbox. So we're going to go ahead and check this checkbox here. The first item you see is a menu link title, and that menu link title by default will match the required title field that we filled out in the very beginning on this node. But say, for instance, you had a really long web form node title. You don't want that menu link title to be long as well because it will actually wrap around your main menu dropdown. This gives us an opportunity to shorten the menu link title. That way it will all the content, all the text will be on one line. So in this particular case, let's remove February. Just for the sake for this example. So instead of calling it February Web Forms Beginners Training, we're just going to call the menu link title Web Forms Beginners Training. Okay, and so now we're going to move down to the parent link. This is where we're going to set our URL path. Okay, and so this main menu here is by default, it's set by default. And we did say we're going to add our web form node under the site pages main menu dropdown. So now that we've clicked on the select field, we're going to go ahead and check and select the site pages main menu item. So you can actually add another layer, but we're not going to do that in this particular tutorial. And that's it. And so just a quick review, we've added the required title for the web form node. We've added the body information so your users will have an idea of what the web form is about, providing them with any important information that they may need in helping them fill out the form. We've added the menu link title. We've modified it slightly to be different from the web form node. We've set our custom URL here. Over to the left, we've actually attached the web form node, which is one of the more important aspects of this tutorial. We left our web form setting status to open, which is by default. And we're double checking to make sure that the published checkbox is checked. And that's it. So we're going to go ahead and click our blue save button. Okay, so let's go and check and verify that everything is working the way we intended to. So in our site pages menu dropdown, we're going to go ahead and click it. And now that we can see the Web Forms Beginners Training, this is the menu link title that we modified early on, which is a little different from the Web Form node title. We now see that the body information that we included is above the web form entity. And so there's the content, and here is the actual web form itself. And that's it. This concludes the end of our tutorial. Thank you for joining today.